probably gonna turn that. Yes, we are live for the good fight right here at I was going to say KABF 88.3 FM, but we are not at KABF 88.3 FM. We are at 614. Yes, and I'm super excited about tonight. And I am just so gracious for your presence in this space. Welcome to the Good Fight. We show up here every single Tuesday for conversations now about this pursuit that we're on to an unconstructed Jesus. Like, can we get Jesus in a raw and pure form? That is what we are chasing. That is our journey. That is our path for however long it's going to take. And so that's why we are here. If this is your first time joining us for the Good Fight, welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope that you will stay along for the journey. I'm always reminded of my mama's words. She'll say, "Niece, say, you know, people come and watch you, but they might not come back." And I tell them, that's okay. I am really okay with that. But if this is your first time, thank you for your presence in this space. And shout out to whoever it is that referred you to this space. I appreciate them, whoever that is. I really, really do. There are ways that you can engage tonight with the Good Fight. One of those ways is to find yourself in the stories that are being shared, in the comments that are being made, because this has to become personal. I am definitely the one on the journey, and you all are helping me. That, no doubt about it. But something has to resonate with you. Something has to make you say, that's that dog moment. Something has to penetrate your spirit in such a way that you say, I want to stay right here, because I know what this looks like. I know what this feels like. You talking to me right now. And so that's one of the ways that you can engage, is to find yourself, locate yourself in what is being shared. The second way that you can engage is to look through a window. So this is really not your experience. This is somebody else's story, somebody else's life, somebody else's gift to you. Anytime a person is comfortable enough to share a part of their story, you should not, I do not take that lightly, because we only share when we feel safe. In the facilitation that I do, part of the grounding of the space is to ask each other how we are going to interact during our time together. And one of the things I say all the time is that I cannot guarantee that this is going to be a safe space. I can guarantee you that it's going to be safer, because when I recognize the harm, I'm going to capture it. But I cannot control the harm, because I don't know what's going to come out of a person's mouth. And so I'm not going to guarantee that this is a safe space, but I am going to guarantee you that it is a safer space than probably what we're all used to, because I work really hard to offer that kind of psychological safety for us. Also, another way that you can engage is to walk through a door. So beyond this moment, and I love it, y'all have been walking through doors lately. I mean, after the Good Fight at night, the next day, the day after, we are still having conversations about things that have been shared in this space. And I'm connecting with people. So like, you all are connecting to me outside of this space. And then I'm like, oh, I need y'all to connect to each other. So I'm trying to figure out like how to connect. Some of you all are still talking to each other. You just don't know it. So I've got to figure out how to make that happen. But I get so tickled when the conversation just continues to grow and flow and move in our bodies and in our minds. I love it, love it, love it. So to walk through a door after the session is over, after I click end stream, we are still marinating. We are still feeling some kind of way. We still feel the need to defend ourselves. We still want to challenge the space. Like, yes, I'm here for it. And finally, another way that you can engage is to simply comment right here. I'm still streaming on Facebook, but stream is through StreamYard, so that I can see the comments and put them up on the screen for everyone to see. I wouldn't be able to do that with Facebook. I wouldn't be able to put it on the screen. I think everybody can see the comment, but I wouldn't be able to put it on the screen. I think so. I think that's why I chose StreamYard. Yeah, that's what I think. So yeah, you can comment right here. We will put those comments on the screen. We will talk about them. And I was told that sometimes I need to pay attention, because y'all be talking to each other. Y'all not even talking to me. I'm like, I didn't know that. I thought all y'all was talking to me. No, ma'am. Sometimes we talking to each other. Okay, you might want to say at Denise or at Phyllis or at Deidre or at Triana, or, like maybe then I'll know that I don't have to respond to that because you're not talking to me. So that would be helpful. I want to jump right in today and talk about chapter 3. Chapter 3 was scheduled for last week. But when I tell you all that you set my soul on fire, it was like we were popping in here, like one comment after the other, and I was loving every minute of it. And because I am one who really believes in going with the flow, one of the biggest arguments that I have with the people that I serve as a subcontractor for, so they get the contract and then they call me to deliver the content of the contract. And so I'm a subcontractor. And one of the conversations that I always have to have is, okay, what's more important to you? You want me to get through these slides so that we can say, yes, we made it through the entire presentation? Or do you want me to nurture the conversation in the room? Like, I need to know, because Denise is a nurturer of the conversation. I believe the richness happens in the dialogue, in what is being stirred up in somebody's soul and somebody's spirit, that they feel the need to express it. And then how does that land for somebody else? Like, let's work this thing out. Like, that's how I am. But some people are like, no. We need them to get through these slides because next week we're going to come with the next group of slides. Okay. And so now if there's a flow happening, I don't care what's on these slides. We'll get to it when we get to it. And so here we are now, still talking about chapter 3 from last week. So let me just do a quick recap. Please don't think that you have to show up in the space every single Tuesday to be able to engage. That is not true. I don't mind saying, okay, remember chapter 1 was this, chapter 2 is this, chapter 3 is this, just to bring you up to speed so that you don't feel like you're lost, you don't feel like you're missing anything, nor do you feel judged for not knowing where we are in the moment. But chapter 1 was about changing a person's name. When you change a person's name, you change that person's story. When you change a person's name, you erase that person's story. Let's think about people who are ancestors of the African diaspora. So when our ancestors were kidnapped and captured and brought over to this land, one of the first things that happened was, we're going to change your name. And for those of you who don't, who are uncomfortable going to that space, and you really like the Bible, when you think about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, those were not their names. They were given those names. So there's something about the need to change a person's story if you intend to control the narrative. If you're going to give them the rights that they deserve to own and control their own narrative, then there's no need to change the name. I change your name so I can erase who you were before and then give you what I want you to have, because I'm the one who is curating this. Now, I'm talking in terms of people who give you a name. Those of us who believe in giving ourselves a new name, I'm not talking about you. And I don't know, some people that I know who have dead names, they really do want to erase that. Other people I know who have dead names, they say, well, I know who that is, and that person is still a part of me, but it has there's an evolution happening. Like I'm continuing to become who I know myself to be. So however you deal with that. But I'm talking about the people who want to control you, who are only interested in shaping the narrative for themselves so that it benefits themselves to have you be somebody that you were not created to be. So by changing the name. So when we talked about changing the name in chapter 1, we dealt with the fact that Jesus himself did not think that he was God, nor did the disciples. That is not how he was received. That is not how he was experienced. That is not what he believed his mission and purpose was in life. And so I liken Jesus to more of a revolutionary, to a community organizer. Like that's who Jesus really was. And so if we decide to agree on that, if we can agree that Jesus was given the name God, given the name Messiah, given the name Christ, then we say, okay, well, y'all erased who he really is in order to make him somebody else. What if we strip him from your construction? Because that's what this whole series is about. It's about an unconstructed Jesus. I don't want any of the trappings. I don't want the Bible. I don't want the church. I don't want prayer. I don't want praise. I don't want worship. I just want Jesus. Just give me Jesus. And that is a song. That's a hymn. Jesus, Give me Jesus when you are. Yeah, I don't remember the words, but that's just Jesus. I know that's it, just Jesus. And so that's what we are in search of. And so if that is true, that we gave Jesus the name God, when in essence that's not who he is, then I can say that Jesus is really my friend. Jesus really is my accomplice. Jesus really is my ride or die. Jesus really is my partner in the work, in the struggle toward collective liberation. And if that's the case, then Jesus and I are on equal footing. Jesus and I stand side by side. Jesus and I have the same mission, the same goal. We have the same creator, right? So we are one and the same, Jesus and I and you, of course. So that was chapter 1. And then chapter 2 says, okay, well, if I had to make sure that I defined Jesus for me, then I also need to define myself for Jesus. Because if Jesus is not God, then that means I don't have to be sinner. Because the only reason that we are, the construct says that you necessarily have to be a sinner in order for Jesus's death on the cross to be realized. So if you were not a sinner, then why would Jesus have gone to the cross? Like, that's the construction. But if we say, no, we're not interested in that, we're dismantling all of that, Jesus is right here beside me, Jesus is my partner, then that means I'm not the sinner and I'm not just saved by grace. Like, that's not who I am. Who am I? I am, in my own right, the one who is well able to do the work that is assigned to my hands. So if you say, well, Jesus was assigned to be to lead people into a new way of living, a new way of thinking, a new way of being, a transformation of the world. If that's what Jesus's purpose and mission was, and I align myself with that, then we have the same mission and the same goal. So we are working towards the same we're working towards the same goal. We're trying to accomplish the same thing, yet we have different gifts. So Jesus is in Jesus's lane doing Jesus's thing. I'm over here in my lane doing my thing. And that's how community organizing works, right? We bring everybody to the table because we're like, think about those of us who sit on a board. If we are sitting on a board of directors and we look around the room, we say, and it's time to recruit people for the board, what do we say? We look around and we say, what gift, what skill, what talent is not at this table? Well, you need on a board, you need someone who is an attorney. If you're on a board, you need someone who's good with finances. If you're on a board, you need somebody who's good with development. And so we're all working towards the same goal, yet we show up in the divineness that we have to offer the gifts in our hands. And so it's the same thing. So when I define myself for Jesus, no, I'm not your slave. No, I'm not your sinner. I'm the one who sits on the board with you. And my gift is to bring the storytelling aspect, is to bring all that I bring to the table while Jesus brings what Jesus brings to the table. So that was chapter 2, defining myself, ourselves for Jesus, since it's no longer this God-servant relationship. And so that brings us then to chapter 3. So chapter 3 is about free will. I hear people talk all the time. It's a very interesting conversation because when I talk to people who are indoctrinated about Jesus Christ, which is most people who profess to be Christian, and let me just say that there's no judgment, no shade. Why is there no judgment and no shade that that many of us are indoctrinated? Because I was indoctrinated. So there's no way that I'm gonna act like how you do that? Because I sometimes ask myself, so wait a minute now, what happened to you, girl? How they get you like that? Look, it happened, and it happens, and it continues to happen. So no judgment, no shade. But for those of us who have been indoctrinated and continue to live in that space, every time something happens, we want to attribute it to God. If I get a car, thanks be to God. If I get a job, thanks be to the Most High God. If I get a car, I'm blessed and highly favored by the Lord. But when somebody kills somebody, then you say, that's man, because they got free will. So I'm like, wait a minute. So why is it that everything good is about God, but then when something happens that you don't consider good, then now you want to say that's man's own free will? I said, okay, well, let's talk about free will. if it is true that when I say man, I'm talking about humanity. I really hate these constructs around words. Like I'm talking about, it used to be that, these were just words that we used to recognize a collective, and now we've got a certain gender. And so I want to be careful, because I'm not talking about gender. I'm talking about the collective of humanity. So I'll just try to remember to say humanity. If it is true that as humans we have free will, if that is true, then why is it that the religion that we ascribe to, the religion that we bind ourselves to, because that's what if you break down the etymology of the word religion, it means to bind yourself to. So why is it that the religion that we bind ourselves to says that, oh, okay, especially talking about Christianity, if you are a Christian, and if you say you are a Christian, then that means then that you necessarily have to believe in that God raised Jesus from the dead, that God sent Jesus to be the only begotten Son to save the world through the cross, and that he did it for you. And so you must believe in him, or else you are going to hell. Where is the free will in that? If Jesus died for the whole world, then Jesus died for the whole world. But really, it's a conditional death. The death only works for those who believe in it. If you don't believe in it, then hell is your home. I don't see free will in that anywhere, nowhere. But if we if we continue with if we progress with our thought process, and Jesus is not this God for us, but Jesus is our partner in the work, then that means that I have the freedom to decide for myself what I will and will not accept, even out of Jesus's mouth. Going back to the metaphor of the analogy of being on the board of directors, I do not know a board of directors where every single person on the board agrees with each other all the time about everything. Do you? That's the whole point of bringing different gifts. That's the whole point of bringing different lived experiences. That is the whole point of trying to live into the word diversity. I'm thinking about what happened this morning. Deja was like, ain't no such thing as diversity. But this idea that, hey, we need people who look differently, who think differently, who act differently. We need all of these people at the table, because we need to hear your perspective, and it may clash with mine, because we are totally different people. So then if that's the case, when Jesus and I are partners in the work, then Jesus has something to say, and I got something to say too. And I listen to Jesus, and Jesus listens to me. Jesus does not have any more power than I have, because we together are divine. We together are God. And how can I say that? Because if we talk about what the construct says, the construct says that Jesus was created when God was created, right? Jesus was God. In the beginning, God said, let us make man in our own image. That's what God said. Let us make man in our own image. And so people have been debating, who is us? Right? Is this council of gods? Is it God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit? For those of you who are traditionally stuck in that construct that God is a person and God is male, Jesus, and that's usually what people say. Yes, we're talking about God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. They won't let the Holy Spirit be a woman, but anyway. And so then, therefore, in John chapter 14, when Jesus becomes flesh, he said, "This is God in the flesh." Okay. If that is what makes Jesus God is that he is a manifestation of God in the flesh, then are we not all manifestations of God in the flesh? If we were created by God, then we show up in the world in flesh. We are we are. I was going to say enrolled. Like we are in flesh. He is God, the spirit. We are the flesh of the spirit. It reminds me of how we went on a journey. Remember, I told you one of the ways that you can engage with a good fight is to go through a door. So after the conversation is over, we still talk offline, and we are still wrestling with what happens here. I was talking offline. I really want to say it was Triana. I was talking offline with Triana. I really don't remember what Triana said, because I remember what I said. Because it dawned on me, and talking to her, all of a sudden, I was like, wait a minute. How can it be true that we are made in God's image. How can that be true? Because the question is, the root question is, what does God look like? And the fact of the matter is that God is spirit. What does a spirit look like? The spirit looks like whatever vessel it inhabits. That's what the spirit looks like. So then if God is spirit and I was created by God and I am a manifestation of that creation, then all of us are divine expressions of God. So if Jesus is God because he's the spirit made flesh, then I am God because I am the spirit made flesh. And you are God because you are the spirit made flesh. If that's how you define the incarnation, that the spirit becomes flesh. So then, therefore, if that is true, hear me when I keep saying if, because you can absolutely say that ain't true. And I ain't mad at you. Remember, we're on a journey. And if that is true, that we are the spirit made flesh, and then that makes me God, then whatever power that Jesus has, because Jesus is God incarnate, then I got the same power. I have the same power. So now if I have the same power that Jesus has, first of all, I don't have to pray to Jesus for first of all, I ain't got to pray to Jesus, period. Because remember, we partners. I ain't got to pray to you. You're not my God. I'll pray for you. And I may even ask you to pray for me. Y'all, I don't let everybody pray for me. And another thing that I do is if in the event that I ask somebody to pray for me, most of the time I ask people to pray for my mom. At church, I ask them to pray for my mom, and I will tell them for what to pray. Because you're supposed to be touching and agreeing with me. So how you gonna agree with me when you don't know what my prayer is, right? And so I don't have to pray to Jesus for anything. But I have the power because when I was created with everything that I need to be who I was called to be. Let's just think about it in a very practical sense. Those of you who have had children, I have not had children. Those of you who have birthed children through your birth canal, those people I'm talking to right now. When your child is born, regardless of cognitive ability, regardless of difference in ability, regardless of their brain health, regardless of their physical health, when they come to you, when you receive them into your arms in the hospital or on the bathroom floor, wherever it happens, they already have everything they need to live into who they were created to be. So even if they are neurodiverse, even if they are differently able, even if they have whatever it is whatever they have going on, it does not lessen their ability to live to the height of their potential. The height of their potential may look different than the height of somebody else's potential, but isn't that really what diversity is all about? So when they come to you and they have everything that they need to live into what they were brought here with, you don't say, oh, wait a minute. I got to go get some more brain health for them. You don't say, wait a minute. I got to go get another leg for them. No. Yeah, we got prosthesis and all of that to help them, to assist them. But we don't say, oh, no, you ain't nothing like this. Let me make you something. You say, I know my child is somebody because God don't make no junk. I wish I could find that poster. It used to be a poster when I was growing up. You would go to these stores and it would say, I know I'm somebody because God don't make no junk. I have never met a parent that I would call a good parent. And good is relative, I know. I have never met a parent that looked at their child and said, you know what? They ain't gonna make it because they ain't got enough. Notice I said a good parent. What? No. The parents that I know, however their child enters the world, we say, we bad. Let me tell you, you are beautiful. And so when I was created as Denise, I was created as spirit, my parents called me Denise, then I have everything that I need to live into the essence of who I was created to be. I don't need to pray for nothing else. I don't need to pray for power. I don't need to pray for strength. I don't need to pray for hope. I don't need to pray for love. I've got all of that. what I am on the journey to do, and what I would suspect most of us are on the journey to do, is to learn how to own what we have. Because the constructs, the systems of this world, those are the things that tell us that we're not, that we are less than, that we need a Jesus. Remember, we talked about James Baldwin saying, why, asking the white folks, why do you need an N word? So the question can be asked us, why do we need a Jesus? And the reason that most of us feel like we need a Jesus is because we need power. We need help. We need strength. We need whatever that is, but we already have it. And if we are living in community, if we are showing up as each other's, as a member of each other's tribe, then I am the one that helps you realize that potential. I am the one that helps you, iron sharpens iron. So we talk through these things. We figure it out together. That's what girlfriends do. That's what guys do. We get together and we work that thing out. We talk about it. We argue about it. We try it. We practice it. We fail at it. And we keep on going. That's the same thing that Jesus does. You pray to Jesus and say, help me get through this. You call me on the phone and say, me and my cousin all the time say, look, I need you to stop what you're doing right now because I need to talk to you. I need you to help me through this. And I know I said, look, I need you to talk me through this. Yes, that's what we do. And so I don't need to pray to Jesus for that. I need to recognize that I am already all of that. And the question is, what becomes hard about believing that we already are? I already am. I am that I am already. So what do I need? What do you need to say, oh, what? I am that I. Yes, you are that you are. One of the most painful experiences I had with my mom when she was here this last time is that she wears hats all the time. And because she wears hats all the time, it got to the point where her hair was matted underneath the hat. And I did not know that. Shame on me for never once thinking that I should like comb her hair. Like I honestly was not thinking about it. And I don't really know what happens. I think one day she asked me for a comb. And I wanted the honor of combing her hair because I remember when she used to comb my hair. My mama used to sit, and my mom and dad had recliners, one on each side of the room. And my mom's was on the right side if you were facing the hallway. And she would sit crisscross applesauce. And well, not really. You know how you recline and that little like the part where your feet rest, she would fold her ankles, crisscross applesauce on her ankles. And I would sit in that space that's created between her torso and her feet. And I would sit there and she would comb my hair. And it was such a tender moment. So now here she is with me and she asked me for a comb. And I was like, oh, let me comb your hair. And so I started, so I took off her hat and I'm like trying to comb my hair. I'm like, so I was like, T, we got to cut this off. Like, we got to cut this off. So I'm cutting out I'm cutting out the matted parts. And so now that means what? We're going to have to get this shaped up. It's just going to have to come off. It's just going to have to come off. So it came off. She had to, it was real short and it was so cute. She got this cute little, we went to Skills Barbershop on 12th Street where Gary is the owner. And I can't remember the person's name who, shame on me. I can't remember the person's name who cut my mom's hair, but it was like, it sits up right here and it's low on the side. And it is so nice. And my mama said, take me to the wig store. So, okay. So we go to the wig store and my mama is getting these like big old like wigs. And I remember my mom at the time was 86. So like she's trying to get these like big old, and so it wasn't working. Now, I am the type of person where if you do not ask me my opinion, I do not just share it. And I wish everybody felt like that. If I don't ask you what you think, don't just offer it. Who cares what you think if I didn't ask? But when you ask me, make sure you are ready for me to tell you the truth, because I do not lie. I don't want to say I do not lie. Very rarely will you find me telling a lie to anybody. So my mama put on the wig, and then she messed around and said, "What you think, niece?" I said, "You look a hot mess. You look like a hot mess. So she didn't believe me. She thought I was being mean. So the person who's working there, she looked at the young lady and said, what you think? And so now this is the person who works at the store, right? So she's like, now I gotta make this sale. So if she wants this wig, I need to let her buy this wig. But at the same time, like, I got a duty and a responsibility to my elder in the community to be like, ma'am, no ma'am. And so she tried to, she was like, I think you should listen to your daughter. And so my mama, she did get a wig, but she didn't get that one. We found another one for her. Even that one she did not need. And so I said to her, she wanted to wear it the next day. She wore it to the center the next day. She came back and she said, everybody said they like my hair. And I said, no. Stop. Did they say they liked your hair or did they notice your hair? And so when she stopped for a moment, she realized, they said, oh, look at your hair. Oh, you got different hair. I said, yes. Not one of them said, you look great in this hair. And she said, well, I like it. And I said, if you like it, you should wear it. And I wish you could see what I see. And I took the wig off of her and I brought the mirror to her. I said, I wish you could see what I see. I see beauty. I see wisdom. I see knowledge. I see experience. I see humor. I see laughter. I see joy. I see challenge. Like, you are all of these things just like you are. You do not need this hair. And she said, I can't see it. Broke my heart. She said, I can't see it. And I think that is what's happening to us now. We are God because we are Jesus, the construct of Jesus. We are because we are God, manifest, incarnate, that we are the spirit. We are the spirit in flesh. So that means we have everything that we need. We have all the beauty, we have all the joy, we have all the love, we have all the power, we have all the pushback, we have all the challenge, we have all the opinions, we have all the meanness, we have all the niceness, we have all the kindness, we have all the we can go every way. I can be mean and I can be nice, I can be loving, I can be hateful. All of that, we have all of that living inside of us. And because of that, we have the power to choose whatever it is that we want to choose without asking permission from anybody. I don't need permission. Now, I might need help. I might need assistance. I might need guidance. I might need checking. I might need somebody to tell me, slow your roll. I might need all of that, but I don't need your permission. And that's important to me. It's extremely important to me that we grasp this concept, because that to me is the difference between freedom and liberation. And I am one who is striving for collective liberation. All of us need to be liberated, collective, the whole of humanity. That's why we talk about Sawubona. In a spirit of oneness, the only thing that binds us together is our humanity. We're not bound together by race, because first of all, race is a construct, but whatever, the melanin in our skin does not bind us. Our socioeconomic status does not bind us. Our educational level does not bind us. Our, the neighborhood in which we live, the degrees, that nothing binds us except our humanity. And so in that spirit of humanity, then we don't have to ask each other for permission, because that's freedom. So I want y'all to hear people who are, let me see, I don't want to call them racist, because I don't want to offend anybody, even though they probably are racist. I'm going to say it like this. People who struggle with the accuracy of who we have been and who we continue to be as a country, just talking about the United States of America right now. And when we talk about the fact that we have, that baked into the DNA of our country is the system of enslavement. This system that says that we thought we had the right as humans to own other humans as property. And we expected to do that in perpetuity. And so because we are still living with the vestiges of that, I don't even know if it's the vestige, we still living with the flat out whole demon of it, the whole evilness of it, then because of that, we have a hard time letting people go, giving people the liberating folks. And so think about when President Obama was elected and Mitch McConnell was on the floor of Congress and said something to the effect of, we let you have, or we gave you Obama. Not the people voted, not the people exercised their right to vote, not the people raised up and made their voices. No, not we let you. And so I've heard people say things like, white people in particular, say things like, no, there's no more racism. You can vote. You are allowed to vote. So you giving me, you letting me vote. You got a right to vote. We fixed it in the Constitution. We amended the Constitution so that you can vote. So freedom is this idea that you are able to do something because somebody else makes it possible for you to do it. Right. So we talked about voting, talk about legislation. We're talking about policies. We're talking about procedures. We're talking about rules and regulations that govern us. And so because of these rules and regulations, they show us what we can and cannot do. And so we have the freedom to operate within those confines. But liberation says I get to decide for myself what I'm going to do without I don't need anything from you. I don't need you to say, oh, yes, you can live in this neighborhood. Oh, yes, you can go to this school. Oh, yes, you can shop on this side of town. I don't need you to tell me that. I go where I want to go. I decide for myself where I want to go. Now, yes, there have to be rules and regulations in place in terms of harming, intentional harm. Yes, you can't go around and say, well, I want to kill somebody, something to kill somebody. Like, let's not be ridiculous. But in terms of how I want to govern my own body, my body, and my right to govern my own body stops at your right to govern yours. So me wanting how I am going to live, how I am going to think, how I am going to process, like all of that is mine to decide. Nobody else's. And that is liberation. And so being able to live into that kind of power will necessarily change the course of our lives. Because so many of us are afraid to act on what let me back up. Oh my goodness, I just thought about this. Many of us don't even know what it is that we want. We don't even know what we dream of being or becoming. Because we have been condemned. I think it was Michelle Obama in the part of her book Becoming that I read. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't finish that book. I couldn't get through it. If somebody want to share with me your audio of it, I'll sure listen to it. But I had to put it down. It was too slow. It was slow moving for me. But the part that I did read, if I'm not mistaken, she says something about not asking children what they're gonna be when they grow up. That's a practice that we need to stop. And especially those of us, specifically those of Asian descent, where every child is supposed to be a doctor or an engineer, like that. And even if you are of African descent, not African descent, but a Black person in America, telling your children you're gonna be the next Jordan, you're gonna be the next NBA star. Like we decide for the children, and so the children never even get to the point where they can even think for themselves what it is that they want to be. Don't let me talk about nobody else. Let me talk about my own life. I wanted to be a pharmacist first. No, I wanted to be a lawyer, an attorney. That's what I wanted to be. Went to the counselor's office and she told me this awful story about what are you gonna do if you defend a person who is guilty and you get them off and they go free. And what happens when when a person that you are defending is innocent, but you didn't do the best job and they are found guilty and they go away to prison for life. And it was like traumatizing for me because she was putting the weight of this person's life in my hands. I was in middle school going to, was I in middle school? I was in high school going to the counselor for, job, career training, whatever it is we were doing at the time. And so I was like, oh no, I can't reconcile that. Even in high school, I could not reconcile that. And so that conversation made me say, I can't be a lawyer. Now, honestly, I didn't know that there were so many different divisions of law, like corporate law, educational law. There's so many different ways I could have been a lawyer. I could have still been a defense attorney or a prosecutor. I could have, but I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And so I thought, okay, then I've got to choose another path. because I had not been given the power to say when an adult tells you something, you can disagree with it. I did not get that power growing up. If an adult said it, that was it. That settled it. So I was like, oh, okay, I can't be a lawyer. So then I was going to be a pharmacist, because I just wanted to be a pharmacist because I was going to be the first Black woman pharmacist in Mississippi. Like, that's what I wanted to be. Nobody said, have you thought about what your academic gifts are? Like, are you gifted in the math and science? In math and science, is that your gift? Like, I don't know. I was good in school. I was taking AP calculus in the 12th grade, 11th grade, whatever grade I was in, and then got to college and flunked college algebra. How do you flunk college algebra if you were taking AP calculus? I don't know how it happened, but it happened. And so I was flunking. I was at the University of Mississippi as a freshman, flunking my first time. I'm like, I ain't never what. And so my heart couldn't take it, my psyche couldn't take it, my body couldn't take it. And I had white roommates, so I told my mom, I'm gonna take a year off because that's what they were doing. My mama said, you're gonna take a year off, all right? You're gonna find yourself at Jackson State. Okay, so I end up at Jackson State my second year. Annie Sistrunk was my English professor, and she stood up in class one day and she delivered Margaret Walker Alexander's poem, For My People everywhere. When I tell you I was mesmerized, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. I want to get up on a stage and I want to embody the words of somebody else. And I want to bring them to life. I want to major in speech and dramatic arts. That's what I want to do. And my mom and daddy said, no. That ain't what you going to do. You ain't gonna make no money like that. That's not secure. That's not stable. What you're gonna do is be a teacher like the rest of us. What? So I've already been conditioned to believe that I cannot go against what an authority says. So if an authoritarian says whatever they say to me, I'm like, yes, ma'am. And you got to put that ma'am on there and that sir on there, or else you might get busted in the face by my dad. Okay. So, okay, I already can't talk back. And when I say talk back, I'm not saying being sassy. I mean, I can't say, well, wait a minute. What about? And then the path that I chose for myself, because my soul said it. When she stood up, when I tell y'all my soul said yes. And you say, oh, no, you can't do that. I'm like, okay. So I became a teacher because they told me to. So some of us even now are in that space. We have never been allowed to operate in full body autonomy. What is it that you want for your life? Now, don't ask a child that's 5 what you're going to be when you grow up, because whatever they say at 5, that might change. Don't block them into that. They don't know seasons. Even now I'm 51 and I talk about seasons. I'm in this season as for such a time as this. That's the language that I use, reminding myself that I am not bound. I am free to choose based on what my body tells me, not what somebody else says. But we have to first do that work. So if we're going to say we have free will, we got to divest from asking for permission, even from Jesus. Because in this space, Jesus is not your God. Jesus is your partner. Jesus is your accomplice. Jesus is your friend. Jesus is your companion. Jesus is the one in the struggle with you. You and Jesus are leading side by side. Jesus can't grant you permission. You don't need the permission from Jesus. You got to grant yourself permission. Grant yourself, first of all, permission to think for yourself. This world does not want us to think. How many of you have said that? Ooh, sometimes the best conversation I have all day is with myself. I don't say the best conversation. I say the most intelligent conversation I have some days is with myself. These people around here, I'm like, what is y'all drink? What is going on around here? We're not teaching people how to think for themselves. And so there's no judgment here, again, because I myself am a recovering non-thinker. Because I'm not doing that no more. You don't tell me what to do with my life anymore. No. Because I am well able. I am gifted. I am talented. I am graced. I have free will. I have the power. I was created with it. Now, once I understand that, I do believe that it is true that your power is made more and more manifest, that your gifts and your talents are made more and more manifest when you are in relationship with someone else. And I'm talking about any kind of relationship, in business relationship, in romantic relationship, in friendship relationship. When you are interacting with people on a regular basis and you begin to share stories, you begin to share your life on some level, business level, whatever level it is, then they can help you see yourself. Because you cannot see yourself fully, because it's like you in a frame, you're in a picture frame. And the only person that can see the fullness of the picture is the one looking at it. If I'm in the frame, I'm limited by my position. And so we have to be in relationship with each other, because sometimes somebody's going to pull something out of you. Oh, I see this work in you. And then sometimes we have to suppress something in you. I just told somebody today, I said, let me tell you something. You are going to have to learn how to affirm people's feelings. That is something that you will have to, if you're going to be in positive, productive, fruitful relationship with people, when they come to you and they offer themselves to you in the spirit of vulnerability, you can't turn around and say, I already knew that. You can't do that. That is not helpful, sir. Well, he didn't know that. He did not even know that he did it. Nobody else has ever said that to him before. Just like me, I didn't know that I lose focus. Y'all, I'll be doing one thing. I'll say I'm going to get some water. I'll walk into the kitchen and I'll see a dish in the sink. Oh, some dishes in the sink. I'll start washing the dishes. And then after I put up the dishes, I'll be, oh my goodness, look at that bedroom. Did I not make the bed this morning? Now I got to go in there and make the bed. By the time I get through making the bed, washing the dishes, I'll say, what was I doing? I didn't know I did that until in relationship with someone said, babe, you be losing focus, babe. I'm like, oh. And so now I recognize when I'm losing focus, and I have the free will to choose. I ain't gonna do nothing about it. Yes, I lose focus, but I like that about myself. So I'm not gonna change it. So we first have to recognize that we are God in the flesh, which makes us just like Jesus. And if we are just like Jesus, we have just as much power as Jesus has. And for those of you who need a reference from the Bible, because I'm not doing the put the Bible up on the screen with this series, the text on the screen. But if you need that, there is a passage, there is a verse in the Bible that says we are joint heirs with Christ. Joint heirs. You know what that means? That means that if we were in a family, if we were in a human family, and we both had parents, we had the same guardians, the same parents, however they became to be our parents, and they had something to leave. They had a legacy to leave. They had some wealth to leave. They had some land to leave. Then what they would do is divide it equally amongst all of their children. Those who think like that, right? That's what they could do. Like, you gonna get something and I'm gonna get something. So we're joint heirs. We both gonna get. That's what if you need a verse. So if you're the joint heir, then what God has for Jesus, God has for you. And God didn't give it to Jesus to give to you. God gave it to Jesus and God gave it to you. Oh, another story. If you just have to have a story, it's the story that we call the prodigal son, when actually it's the prodigal God. But anyway, the prodigal son. Because when the youngest son went to his father and said, I want my inheritance, the father said, okay. And he divided the inheritance and gave it to both of the sons. Both of them. So if we are joint heirs, if we are both children of the same parent, and God is the parent in this story, we got the same thing from the same source. So if we can live into that, into our own incarnation, and know that we have power, then what step do we take next to begin to exercise free will? You got to first of all develop, like, stop asking Jesus. So then who you gonna ask? Ask yourself. Ask yourself. And when you ask yourself, then I think that the relationship that you have with yourself will change. I really believe you'll begin to trust yourself more. I think it'll be a boost to your self-esteem. I think you'll have more confidence. I think you'll walk into the room with a more decisive stride in your step. I think that the words that come out of your mouth will have a more definitive tone to them. I believe that you will walk in, and your energy will shift in your body, because you're walking in knowing that you come bearing the power to make decisions for yourself and to offer those decisions to others, that they may receive help from them as well, because you show up as God in the flesh, incarnate. I also think that the not only will the relationship with yourself change, but the relationship with your friends will change. This is something that continuously bothers me. Let's say you call me and say you hungry. And I say, girl, what you want to eat? You say, oh, I want some soup. I don't know what you want to eat. Let me see what I would want you to bring me. I want you to go to Five Guys Burgers and Fries and get me a regular fry. I don't want the Cajun. I don't want no hamburger. I don't want no hot. All I want are the fries. Five Guys Burgers and Fries. I want you to bring me a regular fry. That's what I want you to bring me. And you know, if you have been to Five Guys, they put the fries in a cup, and then just before they give them to you, they just kind of throw some more in there, and then your bag be all greasy. I believe it's probably the most unhealthy thing to eat, but that is what I would want you to bring to me. Or you could go to Wendy's and bring me a bacon and cheese baked potato. Okay, when you bring it to me, what we have a tendency to do is to receive a gift from the hands of the human and give the thanks to God. Now, you told Denise you were hungry. Denise went to the store and used her money to buy you the food that you desire because she wants to. Not because you're going to owe her, not because you're indebted to her, but because she wants to. Freely I receive, so freely have I given. I want you to have what you want. I'm in a position to give it to you. I don't mind. Here I come. And I give you this baked potato with the bacon and the cheese on it. I give you these fries from Five Guys Burgers and Fries. You say, oh, thank you, Lord, for feeding me. But you're not talking to me. You're talking to God. I'm like, this pie in the sky guy, what? How he bought you these fries? And you gonna say, well, God blessed you with the job that gave you the money. No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. What happened was I decided that I wanted a college degree. And so I went to school and got one. What happened was I said, I would like to have a job where I am able to be on salary rather than work for an hourly wage. And so whatever they told me I had to do that, then I took the time to do that. And so now I have money that I can use to buy my friends some food when they're hungry. That's how it happened. And so if you want to say thank you to me. And so if we begin to live into the power that we have and to exercise that and to let it change the relationship that we have with ourselves, it will also change the relationship that we have with each other, because we will begin to see each other. Because right now, most of us are invisible to each other because we're so busy focused on God. We're so busy looking up. Oh, what did John C. Evans used to say in Cathedral Church on Northside Drive in Jackson, Mississippi? He used to say, he used to say some of y'all so heavenly bound that you ain't no earthly good. That's what he used to say. And so if we begin to recognize the power that all of us hold because we have it, we were given it, we were created with it. We are God in the flesh, so we are able to help each other, to serve each other, to nurture each other, and we say thank you to each other. And we say, I needed you and you showed up for me. I was down and you lifted me up. I was crying and you dried my tears. I was hurting and you healed me. Your presence healed me. You laid hands on me and healed me. You gave me a massage and it healed me. You talking about binding us together in the spirit of oneness. Because then the next time something happens, I'm not going to go to a secret closet and hope you can read my mind. And then when you can't read my mind, now I'm feeling like you don't love me no more. I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call you and I'm going to say, I need you. And that's going to change the dynamic of the relationship. Because I'm going to show up for you because you need me, and you're going to show up for me because I need you. And if we do that with every friend that we have, and every friend that they have, and every friend that they have, imagine what the Sawubona would look like then. So part of the conversation is that this need to focus everything on God separates us from each other. It does not allow us to serve each other because we're too busy serving God. But we are God. I showed up with the food. I showed up with the money. I showed up with the business plan. I showed up with the plans for the house. I showed up with the grant application. I showed up with whatever it was. I showed up with it. So in this pursuit of the raw and pure Jesus, we can't change his name and make him a God when he is the revolutionary, when he is the community organizer, when he is our co-creator, our co-conspirator in the work to dismantle these systems of oppression and exclusion and war and injustice. Can't give him a new name. Can't erase who he is. And then I have to step into who I am. I'm not a slave with a bowed down head. I'm not a servant in need of guidance for every single decision that I have to make in my life. God, what am I think I told y'all about my cousin. Did I tell y'all about my cousin who lost her job because she used to say that I can't get out of bed until God released me? And so I'm supposed to be at work at 9 o'clock, but sometimes I show up at 11 because God didn't tell me to get up out of bed till 10. And so then I got there when I could. I'm well able to make the decisions that I need to make. And I'm also a human, limited by my humanity. So I need people with other experiences and other perspectives to come alongside me. We were created to live in community. We were created for communal experience. We created to work this thing out together, to journey together. And then finally, I have to recognize my power. Recognize my power by first admitting and confessing that I have not believed that I had power. I didn't know I could do that. Tell you about my dad. I'm tell you one last story. So I've told you before, I've mentioned that there was violence in my home. And so the violence was, my father was the perpetrator of the violence. And when I was a child, it started when I was about 8. I want to say it was about 8. I think that's the first time he slapped me. I think I was around 8. I don't know, but it feels like I was about 8 years old. And so at 8 years old, the first time that I got slapped, it was in front of my mama and both my brothers. Everybody was in the room together. We were all in the room together. My daddy was watching the game. My brothers and I were playing. We had in television. So only 2 people could play at a time, but the other person is sitting on tap. So 2 people are sitting in the chair. One person's on the couch waiting for their turn. And my mama is in her chair reading the newspaper because she didn't want to watch the game. But we're all in the room together. Oh, no, we're not all in the room together. Me, my mom, and my dad, my brothers, and my mama in the room together. My daddy is in his bedroom, but he comes into the room. And so he comes into the room and he asks me to do something for him. And I'm the one playing the game. And so I rolled my eyes because he was always asking us to do that. He done walked in the room and he wanted me to go get some water. Well, all you got to do is keep on going to the kitchen and get your own water. Remember, I'm 8 years old. So this is the way my mind works. Why I got to go get up and go get you some water? And I'm sitting here playing. You see me playing the game. I rolled my eyes. And I didn't even know I rolled my eyes. He slapped my face the first time. Nobody in the room said anything. My brothers didn't say anything. My mama didn't say anything. So that normalized the behavior for me just like that. So I did not know that I could say, you better not hit me. Again, I did not know that. It wasn't until I was in college and had come home and this violence is still happening. But this time I said, I rose up like I was going to fight him back. Tight. And he stood it down. I said, if I had known all these years that all I had to do was raise up, I would have done that a long time ago. I didn't know that I could. So that's probably where many of us need to start. You can. Because you are fully equipped. You have all the power that you need to govern your own body. You determine what you will and will not do. I sent my cousin a meme, a quote. It says, "Be careful what you tolerate because you're teaching people how to treat you." Right? You have the power to decide what you will and won't tolerate. Raise up. Now, are there situations where you can't do that because, hey, my livelihood depends on this? Hey, again, govern your own body. If you need to stay there for a couple of more months until you get everything situated, then whatever your body tells you to do, you have the power to decide for yourself. I'm not trying to use my power to decide for you. I'm using my power to decide for me. And I'm saying use your power to decide for you because you got it. And you can live into it. It'll change your whole life and the lives of the people around you. And I believe that's what we were created to do. So chapter 1, Jesus ain't our God. Chapter 2, we are not Jesus' slaves and servants and sinners. And finally, chapter 3, we really do have free will because God gave us the same power that Jesus has. All we got to do is exercise it. So that's what I got for tonight. Thank you for joining me for the good fight. Yes. Oh, what did Phyllis Brown teach me a long time ago? This is my sign off. If you see a good fight, get in it. See y'all next week. Bye.